Today we're going to take an initial look and review of the Saucony Kinvara 14, which releases early March and will still be $120. It gets some pretty significant changes, dropping in weight, getting a new upper and a new midsole geometry. So I'm going to take them out on the indoor track here in Park City, and we'll have a full multi-tester written review coming real soon to RoadTrailRun.com. Hi everybody, Sam from RoadTrailRun. Today we're going to talk about the Kinvara 14. So the Kinvara model, back version 1, sort of at the height of the minimalist movement, was the first lightweight, lower drop shoe from a major brand from Saucony with its 4mm drop. That stays the same. We still have a 4mm drop here. But we have some pretty significant changes to the Kinvara 14, which mirror what we've been seeing at Saucony over the last year and what we're seeing in 2023. So the first big note is we get 3mm more stack height of Power Run foam. I'm going to tell you how it feels on the run, but generally this newer Power Run is a bit softer. Of course, it's a lot lighter as well. And that's a big part of the story here, because we're coming in here at 6.62 ounces, 187 grams in my US 8.5 sample. And I was 7 ounces, 199 grams in the 13, which also had lost a lot of weight. That is remarkably light for a shoe that now with 3mm more stack has 31mm at the heel, 27mm at the forefoot. Where did the weight savings come from? Yes, probably from this new Power Run, and we'll see how it also wears, because the midsole is mostly the outsole, as it always is on the Kinvara. Some changes to the outsole. I'll show you a picture of the prior version. I think we have about the same weight of rubber. It's just distributed a little differently here. Another part of the changes is a new articulated midsole sidewall. And since the midsole is also the outsole, you can see, and that's designed to help you flow along with a new rocker design. And here's a picture of what the 13 looked like. You can see now we're more continuous in terms of the those waves kind of driving you, moving you forward. At least that's the idea. We'll see how that all goes. Now, where did the other places the weight savings come from? Well, the upper. So we have a mesh here, kind of a 2-layer mesh that's much less dense than the 13. I'm sure that is saving weight. We have a thin gusseted tongue with a teeny bit of kind of padding through here. Let me see if I can show you. Right about in here, right at the lace-up. Saucony's been doing that too. We have a real heel counter here. Lots of nice support. Not overly stiff at the top, so you can see it sort of cradles the Achilles and is more rigid on the side. I'm going to try them on to tell you about fit, but I suspect they're going to fit just fine true to size, given how pliable this mesh is. We have a pretty stout, in terms of firmness, toe bumper, and I think that's very important here with this super light pliable mesh to keep things locked down. So same 4mm drop, more stacked, lightweight. I'm going to take them out for a run here, give you my impressions, and then a few short comparison. So I just laced them up. We're going to take them on the track here in Park City. So they have a really pleasant kind of airy feeling, this upper. They slip on super easy. And then the lace loops, you can see down here, are little stiff rings almost through the bottom of the shoe. I think that's going to help with lockdown. In terms of length, you can see where I am. I'm at my true to size, just about right. Plenty of toe box room with this pliable mesh. I think that's really going to help. I am feeling this form fit sock liner kind of lifting me up. A lot of good support at the arch. So we have a Power Run Plus form fit sock liner here. Quite thick actually, you can see. And then on our tongue, the tongue is pretty much the same material, as the upper, with a strip, a little hard to see, but there's a white strip down the center, which gives it a bit of structure for our gusset tongue. So let's see how that works. So let's talk about fit. A mile or so in, I'm at my true to size 8.5. Fit is true to size. There's noticed art support from the form fit and maybe the geometry on the medial side. Nothing overt, not as overt as prior Kinvara, which had very vertical sidewalls, but the 13 didn't as much. But this is a lightweight shoe that always has had a bit of a heritage of a bit of support, and I'm feeling that. Maybe more from the upper and that sock liner than the midsole, which is plenty stable. In terms of length, I said earlier, good true to size fit, a bit of give through here, very solid hold through here. Nothing to complain about with the heel. And with the weight savings here, probably a lot of it from the upper, I'll take it. So we're running them here on the indoor track in Park City. 7 laps the mile, nice tennis place. And then occasionally a beautiful view of the mountains. So how are they feeling? Very responsive. Not the softest shoe, but similar to prior Kinvara. In that sense, I'm definitely feeling the extra 2.5 millimeters, 3 millimeters of cushion, particularly at the heel. Surprised with a 4 millimeter drop, and I'm not really running too hard here. I don't feel like the heel is too low. You also remember there's a bit more rubber coverage continuous at the heel, which may be what I'm feeling. Let's keep going. Saucony talks about the articulated midsole sidewalls, which essentially go into the outsole, and I can really feel that at midfoot. I feel the support, but then I feel a very smooth kind of wave-like roll forward. The toe off has a lot of decisive response. This is not a bouncy kind of feel. All of it's coming really from the foam, which is responsive as opposed to bouncy. Plenty of cushion. I'm starting to think that with this 2.5 millimeters, and I can't be sure if the sock liner, I need to measure, of the 13 was as thick, but that contributes to the total stack height because we measure from the top of the sock liner. Really has given this a deeper ride. It's still entirely a Kinvara with that flexible ride and low to the ground feel. So, finishing my run, let's talk about the ride. So there's some cool posters lining the walls here at the track, Winter Olympic posters, because Park City, of course, hosted the Olympics a little while back. But in terms of competition in the pre-carbon shoe days, the Kinvara was often a top choice for racing because it was light, it was stable, and it was snappy. And if you kind of miss those days, or you want that experience, and I think it's still valid for me for, say, 5K, 10K, maybe even a half, it now with a bit more cushion, a lighter upper and a lighter weight is kind of a top contender at 6.6 ounces for its 31.27 stack height, and it's well worth consideration as a racing shoe, and of course it can train as well. So I'm done my first run up here on the track in Park City. We're at about 2,100 meters. So it was 4 miles, 9:39 pace. So you can subtract 20 or 30 seconds a mile. So that's about my daily training pace on a day where I'm, moving a little faster. So what am I concluding here? What am I seeing? Well, it is still truly a Kinvara. So you've got that flexible, kind of more natural low drop ride. I think improved now by the waving kind of articulated midsole. We do have a shoe that is flexible as Kinvaras have been. I'll show you after the 4 miles, nice and flexible. What's really changed, I think, is the 2.5 millimeters more cushion and the lighter weight. As I said, on the run, I'm not sure if the cushion's coming from Power Run Plus TPU sock liner or more foam. But clearly this is a little bit more shoe, so the faithful of the Kinvara certainly won't be disappointed. It still has a touch of stability on the medial side, but way tuned down. It feels a bit more like the Tempest does than, say, the Guide. But there is a touch of stability, but I would think we could call this pretty much a neutral shoe. As I said also on the run, the extra surface of rubber at the heel has me in no way thinking this is a 4mm drop shoe. There's no bottoming out. The foam, the Power Run foam is relatively firm. I'm gonna say it might be a bit firmer than some of the trainers like the Ride, but that works well here because you certainly don't, you certainly wanna be responsive, and that's what you get off the front of the shoe with a nice stable landing that doesn't bottom out. So it is a light shoe, and I'll just kind of reiterate that. Look at my notes. It weighs only 6.62 ounces, 187 grams, my US 8.5. So that is 12 grams or 0.4 ounces less than the last version, which is a lot of weight drop while we add 2.5mm of cushion. And you really feel that. A lighter Kinvara, but also one that is more cushioned. This is not a bouncy kind of or springy cushion like the lighter Street Fly from Nike, which is just about the same at 32.26, but weighs only 6 ounces. This is a bit more shoe in feel, a bit more kind of stable and responsive. Maybe not quite as exciting, but kind of a more all-around option. Whereas Nike called the Street Fly a 5 to 10K shoe, I think it's a light trainer in this kind of category. So you may ask, what about the Endorphin Speed, particularly the Endorphin Speed 2 from Saucony? Well, we've got some parallels here, or maybe I won't call it. But if you like the Endorphin Speed 2, but thought the 3, and I love the 3, it was my shoe of the year, was a bit too kind of soft, bouncy, and friendly, this is a good option because you could easily have almost as much kind of spring and response off the front without a plate, I think, due to the geometry in the foam, as in the Speed 2. Maybe there's no plate, so it's not quite the same, but it's a nice alternative if you preferred that kind of firmer ride. So we're going to have a full multi-tester written review of the $120 Kinvara 14, long legacy of kind of the low drop, flexible, fast little shoe with no outsole rubber. And we'll just say that generally this is worn quite well, but it isn't rubber, but it's an outsole grade midsole foam, so should wear just as well as the others, but we'll see about that. So $120. We're gonna have a full multi-tester review real soon, but it releases in early March. So we'll be looking forward to sharing our full written review with you. And I'll just last comment, great upper, no qualms whatsoever, just a teeny bit loose right in here. You can see how pliable it is, but otherwise super breathable. It's about 72F in here, and one thing I was sure of, I had nice airy feet. Although if I went outside on the roads of Park City, it might be a different story. And that over there, you see Park City Mountain out the window. I should be skiing instead of running, and you can see the big snowbank in front of us. So have a great run. Thank you very much for watching.